Whoa, remember I told you in the previous chapter that's a crazy part? This one is actually crazier. I mean, things get crazier and crazier, but we should think about like how we can solve these in a simpler way. So here, what I've done, again, because I wanted to have those horizontal and vertical lines in place, I came up with the idea of like, okay, I think it would be better to make a cylinder at first, like a low poly cylinder, to be sure that my main edges are there, and then based on that, I come back and add those folds on the fabric baked in my model. So yeah, here is me like trying to keep the edge flow and keep adding some like more edges. And what I'm doing right now is that I'm looking at the shirt on top of it to see where should I add those edges so they are kind of aligned to the one above it or below it. Because I want to make sure that when this character is rigged, I mean, I may not rig this, but this is a concept that you should have in mind when you are working in a project, that these two objects are next to each other, and if they deform, they would deform together, and it's better to have those edges kind of like matching each other so they will deform exactly the same. It won't be like one would be like deform smoothly, the other one would be like be a little bit more like rough. So here, yeah, I'm just like, again, it's exactly the same concept. I have my edge flow and I try to add extra edges like diagonally. And as far as, I mean, as long as I keep those main edge flows that I added there initially, if I keep those in place, like I don't know, I would say like 70% there, for sure they would be a little bit here and there. If I keep those there like 70%, everything should be fine. But the other thing is that if you I've already watched the first volume for this tutorial. The reason I made this wraparound and the turban like these, that they are like different layers on top of each other, was that I wanted to have my pattern in the texturing stage be different. I mean, the direction of those like fabric patterns, I want them to be different between these different parts. So what the important thing that I have to keep in mind is that I I need to make those separation lines or like cut line between each of those pieces clean, so I can cut my UV from there, and so I can easily hide the seam line and like add fabric pattern in like different ways, and they should be fine. And to be fair, one of the ways that you can, it's not cheating to make it clean, but it's kind of like the way that you can make your model look clean is that if the cut lines or the border lines between between each layers are clean, if you make that line clean and the inside of them are not clean as much, I would say it end up much cleaner than like being sure the inside is super clean, but the border lines are like messed up a little bit. So yeah, it's kind of like I'm doing exactly the same thing, but I'm trying to apply the same exact concept in a little bit different ways, so I can solve different questions that I have, like the problems that I have. So it's kind of like, yeah, I know that I need to keep the edge flows like that, but my whole shape, or like all of these folds, are going diagonally. So yeah, if you add that like cylinder that I added at first, if you add something like that at first, you have all of your like big edge flows, and the rest is kind of like how I need to preserve my like scalp in the low poly in a way that it's not breaking that main edge flow. So yeah, I just like jumped ahead here because I was like doing exactly the same thing. And yeah, here I'm doing exactly the same thing for the bottom section of this wraparound. And the thing is, if I didn't have this much of a like a high if it's high poly count, I would have basically escaped some of these shape changes. And yeah, I could just like skip some of them and only keep the bigger one, or like more prominent one, or the ones that are more visible. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's kind of like if you, one of the good thing that you can do, one of the good trick that you can do here is that, for example, in Maya, if you don't have any light in your scene, if you press the number seven key, because you don't have light, your model would be all black, and with like a bright background, you can see the model, only the silhouette of your model. So that way, if you rotate around the model, you can see the big plane changes. So yeah, this is the final result. And yeah, let's I only extruded the internal lines in a little bit, so they won't be visible with a little bit of change. For the belt, again, because I had the clean base mesh, if you remember in the high poly stage, I was like, I said that maybe some people argued, these clean base meshes that I'm making are like a little bit too much, but because of that, I'm able to use those and quickly lay down my low poly and use it as like the base for low poly. Here, because these two layers of belts, these two layers of like belt that I have are like on top of each other, and because I know that they won't move separately, I bake them together in the low poly, so they would be much easier to bake, because I don't need to go between them and make sure that if they are baked properly or not. And those are not visible at all, so why should I make them separated? So yeah, but again, I just like close this like a hole that I have there, because the other side is like kind of like attached to the it's kind of like on top of the flat surface on the back. It's kind of like closed and I just like make it close in the low poly as well. And I added like a bevel, two edge bevel, because I don't like to have like a sharp angle without having a supporting edge, because my normals would be like a little bit messed up like that. So yeah, I added a bevel for all the sharp angles that I had, and I'm trying to see if any of those corners that I have are like need any supporting edge. Oh, keep that in mind that when you bevel your model, it may not snap to the high res. So you need to, like what I did here, I basically turned on my, how to say, my soft selection and moved all of those vertices a little bit. So as I told you before, when you move something, when you have a live object, it just like snaps to the live object. So just like you need to just move it just a little bit. So here, because I have those circular shapes that came out like to the side, I want to keep my edge flow clean, and I connect those corners that went diagonally. I connect them like kind of like horizontally or vertically, to be sure that I have those edges going that way. So if they deformed, they would deform cleanly. And here, just like with the quick draw, as I said, that you can just like hold down shift, and with left click you can smooth your mesh. So with the smoothing that, it would kind of like make the distance between the edges that you have kind of like even. And here again, I'm trying to match the loops that I have to the wraparound underneath it, so they would deform exactly the same. It's always good to have it something like that. I mean, in some cases, I mean, in somewhere in the model, I may have less poly on the object underneath my mesh. Like for example, underneath the belt, maybe I have like a little bit less of, I mean, like a longer face there, but I add a couple of edges around it, so I'm kind of like, yeah, as far as my new mesh, I mean this belt looks cool and kind of matches the surface underneath it, it should be all fine. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's easier to add a new cut in the model to be sure that your edge is straight than going manually and make it straight, or like snap it, or like use a scale to make it flat. And here again, I'm using the base mesh that I had in made in the high poly stage, and I'm trying to remove the extra edges from it. What I'm trying to do is to keep 3 edge loops for each border, because I have like a round border, kind of like for these type of assets. What I'm doing is that I try to add like come up with a rule of, like for example, if I have this edge, if I add like 3 edges for all of those add 3 edge loop for all of those round edges, they would look kind of the same, so they would look consistent. So here I'm just like trying to add 1 edge in between and remove the ones on the both sides. So that's a way I kind of like remove, or like kind of like simplify the shapes that I have. See, I add one and remove the other one, instead of like going there and just like moving the edges. I think it's much easier like that. It's kind of like a technique that you will need to use for the hard surface type of assets, to have like supporting edges for the sharp corners and all of that. And here I'm adding these extra edges because I want to have them matching to the belt itself. Yeah, doing some more simplification. And for this piece on the back, it's exactly the same as the ones that we retopologize for the wraparound. So I just like show you how I start, and I just like cut the video and go to the final result. For this one, I didn't bring any like base mesh or anything. I just like start like this, and this is the almost finished result. And yeah, this is how I retopologize this part, and it should be fine. I mean, it's clean enough and follows the same rules. So yeah, let's go to the next chapter.